I know we have a large number of first-time guests with us tonight, as well as people that are here every Thursday night. If this is your first webinar, I appreciate you being here. I promise you it's going to be a little bit different than most that you attend. I've got something real important that I want to share with you all tonight. For those of you that are here for the very first time, let me just kind of put your mind at ease. We don't have any pitch, no product or training system or anything to pitch you. I have no company that I'm trying to back you into. This is pure training. I've been involved in the network marketing industry over 35 years. But about a year ago, I decided to do these webinars every Thursday. It really is a way for me to give back to an industry that absolutely changed my life in every aspect. I believe network marketing is the greatest personal development course in the world with a compensation plan attached. I believe that the real income, the real long-term residual income is made from developing people. I believe the real product is people. I believe if you develop yourself first, the money flows to you. I believe your ultimate goal, when it's all said and done, it comes down to the value you provide to the market that you serve, and that your income is in direct proportion to that. I believe the goal is to develop leadership. I believe you're in the leadership development business. And I believe today that people are so focused on a lot of stuff that doesn't really matter when it's all said and done, and it's just frustrating. It's disappointing. And so after a series of events about a year ago, I decided to start these webinars. We operate a program called the MLM Training Club. We also have a program that's closed called the Network Marketing Leadership Development Academy. But a year ago, when I decided for the first time in my life to really focus on network marketing support services, I shut down about 80% of my training sites for the network marketing profession. And to date, I've only opened up one, but they're all going to be open by the end of 2017. So the bottom line is, I think you should always ask, who is this person, and why should I be listening to him or to her? For me, I started in this 600 square foot home driving a beat up Chevette. I was 20 years old, didn't have a clue what I was doing. After 3 years, things really came together for me. I had an experience that you'll hear about if you hang out with us down the road. My 5th year, I was able to leave my corporate job for a big company, IBM in Lexington, Kentucky. It took me 9 years to get to my income to $92,000 a year. 9 years. Please don't leave yet. If I was you, I would be thinking about leaving, new people. Here's the most significant thing I'll ever say. My 10th year jumped to 252,000. My 11th year, 1.1 million. My 13th year, 3.8 million. My 13th year, 3.3 million. My 14th year, 3.8 million. I retired at age 39 because I felt like the industry was getting so far away from its fundamental roots and foundation, and that we were starting to compete with each other instead of going into the marketplace and changing people's lives and giving people that have no opportunity. And as soon as I announced my retirement, my phone started ringing, and people invited me to come and do Super Saturdays, and company owners asked me to consult and train and work with their organizations. And it created a whole business I'd never had intended on in any way, shape, or form, and was never a focus. My focus was other businesses, and we bought and sold a lot of businesses and done a lot of things in the last 15 years, and I've enjoyed every minute of it. But August of last year, I decided that I, for the rest of my life, this is what I need to focus on, because I have a different perspective than 99% of the people that you will hear, and I just know what I know. And this is the most important thing that I can tell a new person. And it sincerely bothers me to say this. It shouldn't be this way. But when you get to six figures, you know, when I got to 92,000, then it went to 252 to 1.1 to 3.3 to 3.8. I think that's the way it should happen, because I think when you get to a six-figure income, you should have a group of people coming behind you down that road on their way. They should have a group behind them, and they should have a group behind them, and those people should have people that are just getting started and getting ready to launch their business correctly and know how to launch it. Okay, because it's been duplicated down through every organization, because we've played ball with people and we've developed people, and we've not wasted a lot of time with people trying to motivate them and get them off the couch and hopefully tell them what they want to hear so they won't drop off an auto ship next month. And I just believe that's the way to do it. And my track record, when we were building, we developed more 5, 6, and 7-figure income earners on our personal team than any network marketing teacher, trainer, rock star, consultant, whatever they want to call themselves in the world as of this moment today, tonight. What's the date? The 15th of September. I know how it happened. I know what it takes. I know what you need to do to make it happen. There ain't no foo-foo dust. It's not going to happen overnight. It's not going to happen in 90 days. There's never going to be a product or a comp plan that's going to make you successful. The only person that's going to make you successful is the person staring you back in the mirror. And network marketing, in my opinion, is the greatest business model in the world to give average people with above average desire the opportunity to create generational wealth. It's just life altering. And so that's why I do these webinars. Now let me share this. Most network marketers spend hours upon hours, days upon days trying to find quick, easy, comfortable ways to build their business. There's a lot of unscrupulous marketers that understand that, and they'll promise you, we'll have 17 members join your downline. We'll do this. We'll do that. And guys, this started way before the internet. The paradigm shift of 1997 is when it started. And you started seeing people saying, we'll do 90% of the work and you keep 100% of the check, and just mail our cassette tape and you'll get rich, and we'll give you the mailing list and blah, blah, blah. And we started appealing to the mediocrity in people instead of inspiring people to grow, learn, develop, become all they can become. We started competing with each other. Our comp plan placed 7% more on this level and this and that and all the other stuff that doesn't matter. And that's really what kind of drove me out of the industry over 15 years ago. And quite frankly, it's worse today than it's ever been. And I figured if I'm not part of the solution, I'm part of the problem. And what happens, guys, many times we confuse activity with productivity. Activity and productivity is something you got to really be able to distinguish. And if the activities that you're doing on a daily basis are not ultimately going to take you where you want to go and lead to duplication, If it doesn't lead to duplication, you're just kidding yourself, no matter what your results will be. I don't care that you created 19 customers yesterday with Pinterest. Okay, that's not what network marketing is all about. If you want to be in direct sales, sell yachts. Sell yachts. Sell something you can make huge commissions on if you want to be a direct salesperson. If you're just out there selling products all the time and that's your focus, I mean, guys, come on. That's not what this business model is about. Unless you want to make a few $100 extra a month selling a product that you just love, that's fine. There's a place for that. But in my opinion, network marketing, again, it's about creating generational wealth. Generational wealth. I want to take a second. I always like to do this and just recognize real quickly the people that have joined the training club in the last week. Guys, I appreciate you more than you know. We got some great stuff, and it's so close. It's so close, but now it's out of my hands. I'm waiting on outsourcers and VAs, so that's a good thing. But we've got news coming soon. Robert McLean, I appreciate it. Sylvia in Pensacola, thank you for joining. Suzanne in Winnipeg. Gregory in Hallandale Beach, not sure where that is. Richard in Elliott City, Maryland. Jeannie Ball in Idaho. May Perk, also in British Columbia. Ken Ellis, St. Charles. Ken, I know I have an email due you. I haven't forgot about you. Brandon Mark in Atlanta. Monica in Los Angeles, Emily in Melbourne, Australia, Jason in Jackson, Tennessee, Kate in the United Kingdom, Camille in the Philippines, Astrid in Norway, Isabella in Budapest, and Ronnie in Minnesota. Congratulations, all you guys. The training club is something, you can check it out if you want, mmtrainingclub.com. If you're not a member, you should be. I believe that. I believe in the training club. Here's what, let me just talk about this. And I have re-recorded every session, okay? But it's the same information. It's just it's different. And all of you will be grandfathered in it. Yes, the price is going to go up and all that, but those of you that are in will be grandfathered. But here's what I believe, and I believe this. I believe in that 18-month program. You get a CD every month. You will never, ever have to learn anything else the rest of your career except creating leads. And as that technology creates new ways to generate leads, other than that, as far as building teams, there's nothing else you'll ever have to learn to go as far as you want to go when you're finished with the training club. I believe that. So I am going to answer questions tonight because I think this information is that important, and I just want to make sure that you're clear and you have no questions when I get finished tonight. And in a lot of ways, guys, I'm kind of right back where I started a year ago. I've mentioned this before on other webinars, but I was really last year absolutely just kind of overwhelmed at the fact and blown away that there was so many people involved in network marketing that were never taught just the foundational, fundamental framework necessary to build your team upon. And I'm not even getting into any kind of how-tos. I'm just talking about having the framework in place. This week I've had a lot of really interesting conversations. I had a conversation with a corporate officer of a company, and he said, Dale, we just have so many great products, but our distributors, all they do is just promote the opportunity. I talked to another corporate officer in another company, and he said just the opposite. He said, Dale, we have so many loyal product users, but none of them will share our business opportunity. And you know, my message to companies is you create the culture of your program. You create the culture. You will attract the people you want to attract based upon the culture you create. And see, I believe that with network marketing support service. I believe it with this webinar. I mean, I try to run off the people that are looking for the foo-foo dust. I try to get rid of the people that are just, looking for a program to make them successful. They're just looking for the greatest, hottest, newest thing that nobody else knows about. I don't have time for that. Okay, so I try to run those people off. And I believe, so again, I'm not talking to companies. Let me continue. Our company no longer offers training CDs, DVDs, or replicated websites. And you know what? He was correct. He's right. But so why would that be? How could companies not offer any way in the world humanly possible for their distributor base to share their product, their service? In this case, it was a service. It is a service. And they don't provide anything. And see, most companies, all they provide is a self-replicated website, corporate site, that is designed for one thing: distributor ordering. It's not set up to create customers, and it's not set up to create any type of prospecting for team members. It's just for distributor ordering. And again, I've talked about this multiple times, but I just have to cover some of this tonight. I talked to somebody else. He said, Dale, I've been buying leads and calling them for 4 months, but I can't generate any interest. Do you think I should be joining another company? No, you shouldn't be buying leads and calling them cold to launch your business. That's the issue. And it's like, and daily I ask myself, who sponsored this person? Daily I ask myself that question. And good people. I mean, there's good people out there in the marketplace that have had absolutely no direction whatsoever. And we got to get beyond that as an industry and as leaders. And then every day, all of you, anybody that's been around the industry anytime at all, has had a team member tell them, nobody I talk to is interested. People who live around this area are different. How many times have we heard that? People in my area are different. People in this town are different. No, people are the same. And if you create curiosity, they will try to satisfy that curiosity. If you try to talk about it and you try to sell it, they're going to repel. They're going to repel. They have no interest. Lead generation is about finding the right people at the right time in their life and creating curiosity. And product movement, again, is about finding the right people in the right time in their life. You all have heard me say, it's never about who you know, it's always about who do they know. But if you look at 99% of network marketers in the marketplace, and especially new people that start, when new people start, a lot of times the number one mistake that we let them make is they're trying to sell people they know on the products, and they're trying to sell people that they know on the opportunity, when it is much easier to say, hey, I need a favor, can you help me out? Donna and I just got involved in a new business. We're really excited about it. We're looking for a couple of people with leadership and management abilities, and we naturally thought of you. I have no idea if you're interested in creating a secondary income, but I know you know the right type of people. You know the people I'm looking for. Could you do me a favor and go check out at my website and then tell me who you know that I should contact if I'm promoting the business. If I'm promoting the product, it's real easy. Send a letter with my hero product, Aunt Mary, this is Dale. I just got involved in a business. I'm marketing a brand new skincare line. I think, I have no idea whether you'd be interested, but, Dawn swears it's removed this and that from her face and whatever skincare does. Testimony goes there. Please pass this brochure along to somebody that you think would enjoy using the product. And then you follow up and you say, hey, Aunt Mary, this is Dale. Just want to check with you, see who you gave my brochure to. And she's probably going to say, well, I haven't given it to anybody yet. And I say, hey, no problem. Who are you going to give it to? Well, Dale, I was going to give it to a lady at work. She's always worried about getting old, blah, 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 blah. I say, awesome. Could you do me a favor? Well, Dale, I told you I was going to give her the brochure. I know, but could you do me another favor? What's that? Just give the brochure to somebody else, and I'll send one to the lady at work. What's her name? And now I control the great prospect. I found my Aunt Mary sent me to the person I'm really looking for. And then before I let Aunt Mary go, I say, hey, Aunt Mary, you wouldn't want to try the product, would you? And give her a chance to buy and hang up. Guys, it's just not that difficult. It's not. We make it difficult, because we think everybody. Okay, so when we share how to stack the odds in your favor, the problem is no, it does not work 100% of the time. But I promise you, if you contact 50 people for the business or the product, the way I've just shared with you, at the end of the day, when you look at the 50. You're going to be much further down the road than if you approach them like a chicken with your head cut off trying to convince them to buy, sell, or join. You have to learn to work effectively as you can with the way it is. And a lot of people get involved in network marketing and think, if I just persist, if I just grind, if I just keep doing it, if I just keep at it, then I'm going to get there. And you know what? That is true. That's true. But you can get there a lot quicker when you're stacking the odds in your favor when with every move that you make. Because over time, that really duplicates. That really makes an impact. Practice doesn't make perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. Perfect practice makes perfect. And again, most people are just out there bobbing and weaving and talking way too much, and they have no process to what they're doing. They're just out there trying to make it happen, and I respect that. But as leaders, we cannot allow that because we're wasting everybody's time. Creating leads is the easiest part of this business. The real issue is what do you do with them after you create the lead. Now, this is one of the most important things I want to say tonight. How many of the people on your team right now that you have, and some of you have tens of thousands of people that are with us, some of you are brand new, but some of you have tens of thousands of people. How many of your team members truly launched their business? I mean, they launched it. They had a plan and they launched it. They got it out there to as many people as they know as quick as they possibly could. How many? And the question I would ask everybody is, what would happen to the network marketing profession if every leader just focused on truly directing new team members and supporting them in the launch of their business? If the profession did nothing but that, if every leader in every company said every time a new team member joins, we're going to support them and direct them in the launch of their business, in less than a year, the network marketing business model would be at the top of the food chain in this entrepreneurial revolution that's happening around the world, where I believe it should be anyway. I believe if we hadn't dropped the ball in 1997, we would be there now. So we're going to talk about the launch sequence in a few minutes. But before we do, I want to ask everybody that's listening to me tonight, if I ask you, what is your play one, what would you say? And if I said, what is your play two, what would you say? And it's not your ability to answer that question that's important. It's what's really important is the person on your 10th level answering it the same way that you answer it. Let me just say that one more time. And here's why, guys, because if the business is about duplication, developing teams are made up of people. People can only truly duplicate with systems. People can only truly duplicate with systems. Our franchises have proven that to us. Okay, you can duplicate or you can expand with personalities, but you can't expand when you have multiple personalities, each teaching and preaching and telling something different, because what it does is it confuses the majority of people. And in my mind, this is beyond common sense, and it's the most neglected part of network marketing, but it can't be neglected with your team. So what's your play one, what's your play two? Step one, this is the launch formula as, what is it, September 15th that I would be teaching. Guys, I apologize for a second, but Dawn, if you're listening to this, can you come in the studio for a minute, because I got a message from my daughter, and I want you to respond for me, Dawn. Thank you. That's my wife, guys. Sorry. Launch formula, launch sequence. Step one. I believe that when you start a new person, there's two steps. First is 20 reasons sheet, which I didn't put on this slide, but 20 reasons till you know why. The how doesn't matter. I talked about that on multiple webinars. You have to help people decide why. Most people are either focusing on the work or the why. What creates action with people is their why. So you help them identify their why, and you ask them to get 50 names, put together 50 names, addresses of people that you can just practice with. From those 50 names, you'll identify the 40 that you'll send your hero product, brochure, and letter to, and the other 10 are the first 10 people you want to expose to the business, not to get them involved, but to ask them to help you, because they know the right type of people, like I mentioned earlier. So the launch sequence is 50 names, and then you come up with some type of simple text that they can send to everybody in their phone. Everybody gets a simple message. And again, depending upon your product line, I would gear it towards product, because you're just going to have a bigger market there. And some of your best distributors, team members, IBOs, whatever you call them, will be people that first got sold out on the product. So, if I was in the weight loss, I would say, hey, if you know anybody that'd like to lose weight, please have them check out my website, and give them their website, their lead generation website, not their corporate website. Sending them to the corporate website is a waste, 100% waste. Then I would do the same type of message. I call it a casual social media post. You know, I just got involved in a new business I'm excited about. If you know anybody like to lose weight or make money, have them check out my website. Real simple. Get as many seeds planted as you possibly can get planted. Every person on your team, help them launch. Again, I'm not going to go through the whole process of the names and the letters and the brochures. I mentioned it, but I'm not going to get into that tonight. I've talked about it in other webinars, and I'll give you the link at the end tonight. But the launch sequence, I'm telling you, if the industry as a whole did nothing but committed to helping every new team member launch their business and support them in that, it would be astounding what would happen across the world. Now, the question I ask is probably the question many of you are asking. Dale, if it's that important, excuse me, if it's that important, then why don't more people do it? The reason is because of the paradigm shift of 97. And what we started doing then was recruiting each other. And the mistake that we made when we started just recruiting other network marketers was some people are going to be newbies that have never been involved in this industry, and they aren't going to have, you know, a list of 30 or 50 or 300 or 3,000 or 30,000 contacts that they've met in other companies. So what are we going to do with those people? We just kind of neglected that because we decided it would be easier to just recruit each other. And when I say we, I'm talking about the industry as a whole. And we just totally got away from it because we said, because I can enroll 5 people or 6 people that I've known in other deals, and they've been in network marketing for 10 years, so they know what to do. And that's the furthest thing from the truth. Most people that have been involved in 10 years, they don't have 10 years experience. They have one bad year repeated 10 times. Now that's the truth. They have one bad year repeated 10 times. And, you know, we wonder why the industry, you know, what's going on is going on. And it's not hard to figure out when you sit back and look at it. Okay, but because of it, there's more upside potential than ever at any time in the history of this profession, I believe, for people that get this, who really understand they're in the leadership development business. It's not about just getting them in, it's about keeping them in and helping them move forward, and especially newbies. So everything that they do sends them to what we call play one. And I'm going to give you an example here. This is somebody that I work with one-on-one, newbie, never been involved in network marketing ever, is a former professional WNBA basketball player, like Big Ten Player of the Year in college, awesome lady, works with juveniles now in her community, supporting kids, and just an awesome human being. A perfect prospect, gets it, has a competitive edge, understands, you know, takes responsibility, very teachable, very coachable. So, but had no play one. Got in the program because of the products, loved the products, had no communication with anybody in her entire upline. Okay, there's lots of people out there like that, guys. It's a shame. So this is a real simple play. One can be used for business or for products. Okay, and I'm just giving an example. And see, let me just make sure. We got a huge crowd tonight. Well, I only lost one person. I knew that when I showed somebody else's website from another company, people say, ah, blah, 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 blah. And they would be dropping like flies, and I only lost one. They're probably sending me an email right now. Cool. So I'm just trying to show you guys, this is a play one, play two, boom, there it is. They hear the whole story. So they fill out the form here, and whatever they fill out, then they automatically get an email that sends them to play two, where it's an 18-minute video or something where they can hear the whole story. That's the launch funnel sequence. Boom, boom. Now, I just want you to stop and think about this for a minute. Is she better off sending a text to people saying, hey, if you know anybody like to lose weight and make money, have them check out my website, and sending that, or calling people and saying, hey, you're too fat and ugly, you need to be on my product? Or is she better off sending a brochure of the hero product with a letter to people she knows saying, hey, I've just started a new business, you know, I've lost 17 pounds, blah, 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 I'm feeling better, this is happening. If you know anybody like to lose weight and make money, please pass along my brochure, and then following up. So again, guys, this is just non-threatening. It's non-threatening. And here's the when we cut away from everything and just stop and think about it. X number of people exposed equals 100 distributors sponsored. Is it possible for enough people to go to that website, see the video that's there, request information, watch the full explanation, and join? Is it possible that 100 people could do that in a day? Now, guys, don't misunderstand what I'm saying, because what you think I'm saying and what I'm saying is two different things. So hear what I'm saying. What I am saying is, after X number of people have went to that website, at some point, will 100 people have joined through that process? Yes. How long will that process take? Whatever you want to say. You can say 10 years, you can say 1 day, but the number is the same. That's the point I want to make. There is a number. X number of people exposed equal 100 distributors sponsored. And when we set up these type of processes for people on our team, which is what you guys need to be doing, when I say on our team, I mean in your team, then we take away the need for people to go out every day and create uncomfortable conversations when the foundation is in place. When the foundation is there to build upon. The launch of a person's business, honestly, is about planting seeds, because there'll be people there that were in somebody's phone, but they weren't in the 50 letters that we launch with, and we do 10 a week, and they weren't in that group, but they were in the phone, and then 3 months from now, the person that sent them the text, you know, they're getting referrals and following up and backing people in the business, and they're creating product users. So after the initial launch, they never even thought about that person again. They send them initial text, and then 3 months later, they run into them at a family reunion, and the person says, my gosh, you've lost 33 pounds. Is this about that text you sent me last month? Well, it was really not, 3 or 4 months ago. Yeah. Well, I should have found out some more about that. How do I find out more about that? Or is it, they pull up in a new car and they say, my gracious, you got a brand new car. That's awesome. Is this about that business you put on Facebook a few months ago? Yeah. So you're planting seeds, guys. You plant the seed in the beginning. We have to get our people to plant as many seeds as possible as soon as possible. That's the most important part of the launch. And then, of course, we have to have the foundation in place. So if I say, what's your play one, play two? And I want to tell you something tonight, guys, and this is important, especially for you new people. Brand new, never been with us tonight. This is your first webinar. And people that, if you've been with us for longer than, 90 days or 6 months, and you've been on these webinars, there's no excuse. But if you're brand new tonight, absolutely there's excuse. But to all of you, let me just communicate this. This is important. Don't spend another day in your business until you establish your play one, play two. Don't spend another day till you establish your play one and your play two. I'm going to say it one more time because it's so important. I mean, this young man calling me, buying leads, calling people, and it's like, well, what are you saying? Well, I'm telling them about our company and our product line, but and I'm thinking it's just nightmarish, if that's a word. But it's a nightmare. It's like, come on. That cannot be allowed. This industry's been around for over 50, but since 1932 was the first company. We should be so far beyond as a profession, as an industry, way, way beyond. People shouldn't be making, now they have the opportunity to make 25 times the mistakes that I got to make, and I made plenty for all of us, but the internet, which is the greatest tool that's ever been developed for the profession, has also created more mistakes for people than the opportunity to create more mistakes as well. And we just got to get down to where the rubber hits the road and get some common sense about human nature and what we're doing, and quit being so short-sighted. Again, it's not about getting them in. It's about keeping them in and moving them forward. It's not about selling a product once. If they buy once, they're a suspect. If they buy twice, they're a prospect. If they buy 3 times, they're a customer. But once we have these systems in place and they're working and we're getting customers and we know how to follow up and we know how to back people into the business, we know the retail to recruit process, we know how to get them in a 2-step recruiting process to let them hear the whole story, and we understand everything I've been sharing with you guys for the last year, then what does it come down to once the core foundational systems are in place? Once they are in place, the core foundational systems, then and only then. See, if you don't have that, you don't have anything. You can have the best lead generation platform in the world, but if the foundation's not there, you're gonna accomplish 1% of what you could accomplish. But once you have it, then you can do all kinds of really cool social media stuff and different platforms and lead generation stuff. Guys, we're doing some stuff right now. I've got the guy, I've talked to him today. We've been working on this for months. But we're doing some stuff with YouTube that will blow your mind. Blow your mind from a lead generation standpoint. It's just phenomenal stuff. And again, a lot of this stuff we do in other businesses that we operate, but a lot of it, everything that's applicable to network marketing, then I'm going to eventually teach it. But here's my rub. I don't want to teach stuff where people think, Dale, that is cool. That's beyond cool. That's awesome. And I'm going to start doing it. And they don't have the foundation, the road in place to maximize it or to even benefit at the level they could be benefiting. That's my main issue. I mean, and again, I'm not settled at this point on what Dale needs to do. We do open webinars. Do we need to do webinars just for Training Club? Because at least through Training Club, I know they've been exposed. So I'm figuring this out as I go, and I will figure it out. But I have no desire to teach algebra to people that don't know how to do basic addition yet. And it's not their fault that they don't know how to do basic addition yet. I don't believe it is, but I have no desire to do that. I have no desire to share something that's beyond cool and people think it's foo-foo dust. And you know, that's one of the reasons we took down, you know, most of our lead generation courses. Okay, so again, I'm just sharing with you tonight. Here's another, I saw this on Facebook. This gentleman left me a message, and he said, regarding the referral letter from the retail to recruit system, would you agree with sending an email to a personal contact along with the website instead of mailing a letter with a flyer? And I get this question quite often. I appreciate him asking, and I wanted to make sure before I move on tonight that I address this. And my response was no, I wouldn't suggest sending an email. Here's why. Number one, the open rates for email is around 10%. Okay, if I send them a yellow brochure, a yellow envelope with a handwritten, not a label, but a handwritten addressed envelope that's yellow or pastel and it's not white, guaranteed it's getting opened, and guaranteed it's going to be the first thing they open when they get their mail as they're standing over their mailbox sorting their trash can, sorting their mail. It's going to get open and it's going to get read. If you do it the way we communicate it, colored envelope, handwritten, address, not a label, don't print it on your computer. So again, so I know if we send out 10 a week for the first 5 weeks, there's going to be 50 people that you know that are going to be exposed to your product, to your hero product or your service. And some of those people will want to purchase, and many of them will pass the brochure along if you ask them, as you ask them to in the letter. So I continue here with my response. The purpose of sending a letter is to ask them to pass the brochure along to someone who's ready right now for your product. Again, guys, it's not who they are, it's who do they know. I covered this concept in detail in a recent webinar. I think it's at mlmhelp.com, sponsor more. It should be sponsor more. It says sponsor. It should be sponsor more together. Thanks for the great question. It's important when you launch your business, you understand it's not about who you know, it's about who they know. Now, if you have a lot more people than 50, then yes, send an email to the rest of them. But your top 50, 40 40 are getting letters with a hero product brochure, and the other 10 are going to be contacted about the business, asking, letting them know that you're getting ready to expand your business. You're looking for somebody with leadership and management ability. Have no idea if they're interested in a secondary income, but you know they know the right type of people. Could you do me a favor? Go check out my website and then tell me who you know I need to contact. Real simple, guys. Real simple. And if you know them, then they should do that for you. Okay, now if you have any questions on launch funnel, I think I've covered everything that I wanted to. I would add right here 20 reason sheet. I should have added that. I didn't. But it's just creating your funnel. This is what we do. This is how we launch our business. This is what we do. This is how we launch. This is what we do. And again, guys, if every leader in every company would just take this part serious, it'd change everything. Change everything. Okay. Local leads funnel. So after the initial launch, then, I believe you really focus on building a strong local organization. Now, I'm not saying don't sponsor people all over the world. Sponsor people all over the world, but the focus is local for multiple reasons. It just makes so much more sense long term. A local lead is better than a lead across the world. It is. A lead is a lead is a lead, and ultimately a local lead means nothing. A lead across the world means nothing. If you're all looking for the right person at the right time in their life, period. End of story. Doesn't matter where they are in the world. But when given a choice, I would rather have a local lead. So after the person launches, then we have to help them really get effective in the local market and creating as many leads locally as they can. And again, you can do that many ways. I mean, I don't think any network marketer should ever leave their home without a drop card. I've said that multiple times. But there's multiple ways to create leads, and we've talked about that. We've talked about creating your route. Again, I'm not going to rehash all that. I cover all of it at localmmleads.com. It's not open, but when it is reopened, and some of you have that program and you just need to go back through it. You really do, because there's everything there is applicable today. Let me share with you one other thing while we're on local. Let me go back and show you this. Okay, let's say this is a Facebook post. Former WNBA star Francie Enterprise is expanding her team in Detroit. If you're career frustrated and looking for change, check out her website. Okay, she's from the Detroit area, so she can target on Facebook people that just live in the Detroit area to build her local team. And again, and if you want to learn how to do that, be careful who you listen to on that, because there's a lot of people, and they're just, there's a lot of foo-foo dust salesmen out there. It's real simple, and we're going to do that at some point. We'll show you how to do that for those of you that don't already know. So local, build local. And why are people not talking about local? And again, it goes back to, we've created a culture over the past 20 years in the profession in network marketing of just recruiting each other. I mean, it's just astonishing to me. It's astonishing because, a lot of people say, Dale, I'm just trying to get outside of the network. I don't want to recruit any network marketers. I hear that all the time. I don't want any network marketers. I just want to get outside the industry. Okay, well then you got to create a culture, and you got to create a process with your systems, with your foundational systems that attract those kind of people. And every time somebody asks me that or tell me that, I say, what are you doing to create leads in your local market? And they say, well, I'm not doing anything yet, Dale. I just get on Facebook every day and post messages. I just go on social media. Okay, look, if you want to create a strong local team, you know what? You got to do what creates a strong local team. You got to create that culture around what you're doing. Make sense? I think you should do it all, honestly, because again, I think at some point you end up outsourcing all your lead generation activities. The thing I want you to think about tonight, because again, I know we have a lot of leaders. If you've never read this article, please go read it. It's in topmlmtrainingarticles.com. It's a free PDF download. It's in there. You can go to mlmhelp.com and just type in unrecruited heavy hitters in the search box. It'll pull it up. But I want you to think about this. Everybody's with me tonight because we're all, Dale, if I could just find somebody, if I could just recruit somebody. Thousands of newbies around the world have joined network marketing companies this week by distributors who are smart enough to let them sell themselves. Let them sell themselves. How does that happen? Play 1, create curiosity. They want to know more. They submit their information. Play 2, here's the host. They get to hear the whole story. And then there's one question to ask after they've heard the whole story, and that is, what questions do I need to answer for you before we get you started? You know, we have several hundred people, almost 1,000. We have a great group tonight. And my guess is that the majority of you were not sold into your company. You were not sold into your company. Somebody exposed the information to you. You got the facts. You made a decision. Because people that are sold into the company don't do anything after they're sold, and they just wait around for somebody that they knew in the 7th company they were in to call them and tell them about the latest, greatest, newest, hottest program so they can be sold into that one. And then they sit around on their couch and they don't do anything, and they just wait until somebody else calls them with the next hottest thing where we're all going to become millionaires. And those people don't get on webinars like this. And they certainly don't get on the type of webinars that I do. Because I don't pull punches. You know, I'm doing everything I can to really communicate what I know. But when you start thinking about, you know, when is Win a Few going to happen for me? When am I going to find somebody that's good as I am? When can I find somebody that sees it the way I see it? Understand that there's thousands of newbies around the world that join a network marketing company this week. And the way the good people join is they always sell themselves. We just have to get the right information in front of them at the right time. And the way to do that, play 1, play 2. It's not sending them to your corporate website. It's not you talking to them on the phone and try to tell them all about your company and your products and your company's owner and the company owner's dog and the convention they had 3 years ago and all this other stuff, guys. It's giving good people solid information where they can make the best decision for themselves. I can't stress that enough. So the launch sequence, there it is. If you have questions, again, MLM, it's going to be, what is it? MLMsuccesspodcast@gmail.com. I'm almost done. The local lead generation funnel is basically the same thing, except there's one more step. There's actually 2 more steps. And again, I think you should generate leads every way you possibly can locally. And what I recommend is that you send on local. Now, it's okay to put your website. That's no problem. But between a website or a phone number, I would say put a phone number. And we like to use Google voicemail boxes. They're free. Talked about this many times. The message is simply, hi, thanks for responding to our local advertising campaign. At the sound of the tone, leave us your name, your address, your phone number, and your email. And one of our representatives will contact you just as soon as possible. Have a great day. Boom. All it is to collect data. There's no sizzle. There's no trying to generate curiosity. There's no better way to generate curiosity than what I just said. Okay, because if you talk about the world's greatest skincare line, the world's greatest debt-free service, this, that, the other thing, anything you say, they're going to create a preconceived idea, and that's something you just don't want. You just want to collect the data, because ultimately the data is going to be more important over time than anything else, because the timing might not be right. Maybe they're just sitting at the 4-way stop. They look over, they see a sign in the on the side of the road, and they call the number just out of curiosity, because when you do local advertising, I've talked about this many times, but it's always good in parentheses on the sign or on the drop card you're using to say 24-hour recorded message, because it'll increase your call rate drastically, because people aren't worried about calling a phone number and getting on the phone with somebody for 25 minutes who's trying to form them and make a friend out of them and do all the worthless stuff that's being taught in today's marketplace, and they don't want to have to deal with that. But if they know they're just going to hear a quick 24-hour message, they can start listening to the message, and if they don't like it, they can just hang up. Then it's going to increase your response rate drastically. Now, I like to send them to a Google voicemail box, because you're notified by email every time somebody calls. And the other reason is a local lead, in my opinion, is better than a lead that's across the country or across the world or even in the next state, assuming they're both are people whose window is open. Because I think building a strong local team will naturally take you around the world, and I think there's a lot of value in a strong local team. And I can tell you that there's people that have made tremendous full-time incomes all over this industry that would have never made it if they weren't part of a strong local team. That's worth thinking about. So you have people that will make it because they come into your culture, your team, and if they had been sponsored 8 hours away from you and they were kind of on their own, or they were an outsider to somebody else's local team, they may not have never made it. They may not ever make it. So I believe in strong local teams. I believe it makes sense just from a human nature standpoint. So the lead locally goes to a Google voicemail box, and then you have their phone number, so you can just follow up with them. And the follow-up is, hey, this is Dale Calvert. You responded to our local advertising campaign. How'd you find our number? Great. Can you tell me a little bit about yourself? Cool. Do you have any leadership or management ability? Yes. Okay. Well, based on what you're telling me, John, I would like for you to go to the next step, which would be to check out our website. Do you have a pen? Yes. Once you go to this website, if you like what you see there, there'll be a form you can send out, and then we can take it to the next step. Real simple, really easy. And again, no pressure. I'm not trying to convince anybody at any time. Honestly, they should have to qualify to work with you in your organization. I believe that. I think that's the attitude you should have. Say, yeah, Dale, but I only get 2 leads a week. Okay, get more. Get more. Well, I don't know how. Yes, you do. Yes, you do. Get more leads. More leads will fix any problem that you have if your foundations are in place. More leads fix any problem as long as you have the right foundation. So Google voicemail, then what do? In the phone call, we send them to play 1, which will take them to play 2, where they can hear the entire story. After they've heard play 2, there's only one question. What questions I need to answer for you before we get you started? Because you pre-qualified them on the first call. The online lead funnel, guys, is basically the exact same thing as the launch funnel. There's not really any difference there. The lead goes to play 1. Then if they qualify themselves, they go to play 2, and then there's one closing question. What question do I need to answer for you before we get you started? You can do online, offline, classified, safe list. I mean, we have, I don't think it's open, createonlinemlmleads.com. It's not open, but it's 21 ways to create leads on the internet. That was before social media. Now with social media, just be respectful and be smart, and just don't spam your social media pages, and you'll be fine. People act based upon curiosity. They act on curiosity. So that's all you have to do. Uh, and again, you want to get to a point where as much of the social media is outsourced. You know, I know people that spend 12 hours a day just on social media. I, now, if you love that, more power to you. But if you don't, you can work smarter if you choose to. You can work smarter. There's, you know, Craigslist is one of the top 10 most visited websites in the world. Craigslist. Go where the traffic already is. Go where the traffic already is. Don't just depend on social media. There's a lot of other websites out there. You know, we talked about this last week or the week before when we talked about funded proposals and the book site. And I know several of you emailed me and you were telling me about the deals that you found, and that's all cool, guys. I love it when people take the information and implement. So I'm happy for you because, yeah, somebody sent me, said, Dale, I'm going to make $8.30 for every lead I generate with what you shared with us last week. Cool. Everybody should be doing it. Okay, how do you create as many leads as you can on a daily, weekly, monthly basis. That's how you win the game after your foundations are in place. The number one concept I want to share tonight, I've shared it 1,000 times. I'll always say this, and you got to get it from your head to your heart. You do not have time to spend with tire kickers and time wasters. You just don't. Number one mistake made by good people when they first started in the network marketing profession, and I'm talking about leaders, is they spent way too much time with way too many people. We spend too much time with the wrong people, not enough time with the right people. I believe you're only looking for 3 to 5 people a year that want it as bad as you do and understand it's the leadership development business. Leaders have to be developed based upon systems. I believe the only reason to recruit someone is to eliminate them as soon as possible so you don't have to spend one bit of your time, energy, and effort thinking about them. You can love them, you can respect them, you can invite them to your picnic when you have it for your team, but you have to understand, who am I building with? Who's ready to run? I'm ready to run. Who's ready to run? And I believe most people will tell you they spent way too much time in their career trying to motivate and inspire people that were never going to do it. You have to figure out who's going to do it, and that's who you spend your time, energy, and effort with, the people that have the X factor, whatever you want to call it. Those 27%ers is who I'm talking about. They just need systems, and they need proper direction. And those people is where you'll build your fortune. And I know that's many of you that are with me tonight. The name of the game, sorting through people. Amateurs try to convince professionals sort. So that's the 3 mandatory funnels, guys. A new team member launch process, the online lead process, and the local lead process. The local lead process, we just put a phone call in there because people are more apt to respond. You know, they're driving home from the Chinese restaurant. They found your $100 bill drop card on the counter, and there's a phone number there, and they're sitting at a stoplight, and it says 24-hour recorded message. Curiosity is, what is this about? And they'll call it. If you haven't clarified this in your mind and really systemize what you're doing and your processes and have a basic understanding and you have this set up, you have to do this first. You just have to. Don't spend another day in network marketing until you have your play 1, play 2 set up. Don't spend another day. Get that done before you even think about moving forward, because you're just minimizing your success to a point where you probably aren't going to be able to even hang in long enough to get any kind of momentum, because it's just the foundation. It's the rock on which you build your business. I have a few webinars that you can go that will give you more insight and information on this concept. Start Right MLM is a webinar that there's a webinar on that page that you can check out. Framework, MLMhelp.com/framework is another one where we kind of talk about this, but not at the level that I needed to tonight. I mean, I'm just saying tonight, and I hate to say, but I'm just saying, look, don't waste another day in network marketing till you have this solidified. Don't waste another day. Anything you do is wasting your time. Get this done. Get it done. Get it done. There's nothing that I can say tonight or ever that's going to help if you don't have the foundation in place. Then the launch, MLMhelp.com/launch. Well, we kind of, again, I've talked about this, but when people that have been on my webinars for 6 months are spending $200 a month buying leads and pounding the phones for 3 hours a night, I feel like I'm not communicating strong enough what I'm desperately trying to communicate. So I needed to just share this with you one more time. Don't spend another minute searching for tips, tricks, and nuggets. I wrote an article about this last week or 10 days. It's at MLMhelp.com. But again, let me just say, establish your 3 systems. Establish your 3 systems. If you have questions, I'm going to take a drink of water. I'm going to give me 3 minutes because I just want to check on my daughter. I'm going to check with Dawn. I'll be right back in 2 minutes, and I'll answer any and all questions because I want to make sure you guys get this tonight. And I feel like at some point I've missed something that is obvious that I should know better, and I'm hoping by taking questions, if there's just something that I'm not communicating the way I need to be, I'm hoping somebody will ask tonight so I can put this to rest. Put this to rest. So give me 3 minutes. I'll be right back. Right back with you. 3 minutes. Okay, guys, I'm back. Everything's fine with my daughter. It's my youngest, Allie. Some of you all know Allie. Give me 1 second here. I'm pulling up my email. Yeah, you can probably type the questions in these webinars. I know there's a way to do it. I've just never taken the time. Okay, I think I have it pulled up where you guys can can type in a question if you want. But let me see on Gmail. Okay. Jared in Ohio. And when you send it, if you send me an email, just please tell me where you're from. I would just like to know. You don't have to tell me your whole name. You don't even have to tell me your name if you don't want, but I would like to know where you're from. Jared in Ohio, what is the best way to get visitors to my lead capture page? The best lead you can generate is one that you pay for. That paid traffic. And again, it comes down to math. And see, a lot of people say, well, Dale, I don't want to pay for it yet. I just need to get people. Because, I mean, we're doing some really cool stuff in some of our other businesses with Pinterest paid traffic, through Pinterest, and some other stuff. You know, we're experimenting and testing all the time. But if you know that for every 100 people that come to this page, that X number are going to buy, and out of that you do good follow-up, and some of those people are going to become distributors. The awesome thing about network marketing is what I call the multiplication factor. So just because somebody joins, it's not about them joining, it's about okay, they buy once, but you want them to buy 3 times. If they buy 3 times, then they're probably going to buy 30. And if you're making $20 every time they buy, you know, times 30, what is that worth? $600 for that lead. So it's the lifetime value of a customer. What is that? And then you have the multiplication factor in network marketing, because at some point, and y'all have heard me say this many times, you will sponsor somebody that will pay for every bit of advertising you've done your entire career at some point. I sent out, some of you know about our postcard mailing system that we do. And we sponsored one couple that made us over $250,000 over a 4 or 5 year period. Well, they paid for every piece of direct mail, postcards, newspaper ads that I did my entire career. Okay, so that's just the way it kind of works. So the best is paid traffic, but if not paid, then go where the traffic already is. And Jared, I don't know if you were on our webinar we did last week. I think it was the 10. Yeah, it was called the 10. I don't even think I've got it online. But funded proposals, study funded proposals. I have somebody that posts to Craigslist for me every week. An outsourcer. We do. We have some. We mail out over 100,000 emails, spam free, not to our list, but to opportunity seekers every month. There's a webinar called How to Email 100,000 Opportunity Seekers a Month. That's at mmhelp.com. And, you know, so Safe List, we talk a lot about lead generation. The best way is paid traffic. But if you're not ready for that, then you get ready for that. And the way you get ready for that is to create as many leads as you can on a daily, weekly, monthly basis, mastering as many ways as you can. And then, this is important, create an advertising personal development budget. Create a budget. So X% of your commissions go into your advertising budget. And that can be whatever it needs to be, you know, based upon you and where you are. And, you know, if you're making $800 a month and you need 500 of that, then take as much as you can and allocate it towards promoting your business, promoting and advertising your business. So if you have a budget for personal development, training, and advertising, and it just goes in there, and it just goes in there, and then when you need to create leads, then you pull from your advertising budget. That's what an advertising budget is for. So I wish I could say, Jared, this is what you need to do, but I don't know personally where you are or how long you've been involved or anything. So it's a little bit, all that depends, but ultimately work towards an advertising budget. Okay. Who else we got? Hal's in Michigan. You've been involved in the industry over 35 years. What would you do different? Oh, wow. I believe everything ultimately works out for good and the way it's supposed to, whether you understand it at the time or not. But off the top of my head, number one, if I could go back and do something different, I would have never had a partner in business other than a spouse. Dawn's an awesome partner. In our businesses, we work well together. But the other thing would be that when the profession, after the paradigm shift of 97, and after I wrote the article, Inspire Greatness or Catered or Mediocrity, that's the question, and it was published, and I knew the majority of company owners and saw that article. After all that happened, when I in 2000 said, you know what, I'm just done, I'm going to do other businesses, I should have at that point done what I've been doing since 2015, but I didn't know that at the time. So I would have focused at some point on network marketing support services much sooner than I did. And maybe if I had, then you wouldn't have all these self-proclaimed gurus who've never built teams teaching people and leading them down dead-end roads daily. Possibly, I don't know. But, I can't worry too much about that. It's about the future, not the past. Okay. Indiana, Monica. Do you have any experience with ClickFunnels or lead pages? If so, which would you recommend? Monica, I use lead pages. When you registered for this webinar, it was a page set up through lead pages, and then lead pages automatically connects with the webinar service that we have. I joined lead pages before ClickFunnels really came out, and honestly, I was going to switch everything to ClickFunnels, but lead pages is on an annual subscription, and my subscription came due, and they automatically, it automatically paid it before I got around to doing that. And here's what I would say: both of them are very, they're relatively expensive. It's like, I think lead pages is maybe $97 a month, and so that's what, over $1,000 a year. That's ClickFunnels. Lead pages is about 500 or so a month, or a year. So depending on where you are in your business, if you're profitable and you're moving forward and you want to be full-time, and you're have the basics covered, it's on the internet, then lead pages is simple. But ClickFunnels, I think it would enable me to, for instance, send you guys a text reminder prior to the webinar, and there's just some features in it that I really like, and I will probably this time next year be switched over to ClickFunnels. But you really, if you're just getting started, you don't need either one. Okay, if you're just getting started, I hate to see people buying a lot of stuff and investing in a lot of tools until they really need it. So, you can create a simple lead capture page and connect it to a autoresponder system, and it's not, you don't have ongoing annual fees, in the hundreds and hundreds of dollars. So that might be a better way to go, depending on where you are. And again, I don't know, because I don't know where you are. Deborah in Utah, I'm a newbie who found out about your webinar on Twitter. Makes perfect sense. My sponsor has been pushing me to buy a course about blogging from someone named I won't say that, from someone named, we'll call it Guru, and start a blog before I share the products with my family. I have a large family and know they would support me. What would you do? My sponsor has been pushing me to buy a course about blogging and start a blog before I share the products with my family. I'm going to give you a totally 100% honest answer here. You're a newbie. I would contact, if you love your products or your service and you have a belief in what you're doing, which I hope that you do, I would call the company and see what you have to do. Okay, here's what I would ask you. I'm trying, because I want to make sure that I'm not throwing somebody under the bus that doesn't need to be thrown under the bus. My first question would be, how long has your sponsor been involved in the network marketing industry? And if they've been around for over 3 years and they're telling you that you need to buy a blogging course and start your blog before you share the products with your family, and they've been involved in the network marketing business model for over 3 years, your sponsor, then I would call my company tomorrow and I would see what do I have to do to change sponsors. And that might seem harsh, but if you look behind the curtain, here's what's going on. This is my perception of what's going on, and I'm 99% sure that I'm correct. Your sponsor is more interested in selling you a blogging program so they can make a big commission from the guru than they are helping you launch your business, create some customers, and move your business forward. That's what I feel is going on there. So that's what I would do. I'm checking real quick to see if we have any more. Give you about 2 more minutes, guys. If you have any questions, because I just want to make sure this whole concept is really, really clear. It's got to be. It's just got to be clear for you. I hit a button on my phone, which was the wrong button. Okay. Mr. Calvert, this is Diego in Tucson. How you doing, Diego? I found your first year network marketing podcast when I started 97 days ago, and I'm following your Start Right program. I have a small team of 7 people, but we are all retailing to recruit and happy with our progress. Well, congratulations. My upline diamond wants us to buy a ticket to attend an event in Las Vegas December 1st called Go Pro Mastery. Tickets are $600 plus hotel, meals, etc. Would you do it? We would do it, but this would be a financial strain on us right before Christmas. We tried to explain this to our leader, but he wouldn't take no for an answer. Should I go? Gracious goodness. Look, you started 97 days ago, you got 7 people on your team. That's awesome. And you feel like you're making progress and you're moving forward and you're creating customers, it sounds like. You're retailing to recruit, you know. And the question I have to sit back, and please understand, Diego, I believe in learning. I believe in seminars. I believe in learning all you can learn. I really do. I believe, you know, I believe in being a student. And, you know, if it was in Tucson, I might say my answer might be different, but it probably wouldn't be. If it's right in your backyard, if it was your corporate conference, my answer would definitely be different. So let me say that. If it was your company conference, my answer would definitely be different. But this is a generic seminar, and you'll spend, what, 600? So you'll spend at least probably $1,000 before Christmas. Is it worth it? I think there's other ways you can more effectively invest $1,000. And here's what I would do the next time your upline or your diamond. You say you won't take no for an answer. So here's what I would do the next time they call. I would say, let's say their name is Sally. I'd say, hey Sally, and write this down, Diego. Sally, how many tickets do you have? How many did you buy? How many have you sold? How many do you have? How many did you buy? How many have you sold? And then I would say, look, I want to go. If it was a company conference, I would go. I would do everything I could to be there. But it's a generic seminar, and I'll try to be in a position this time next year where I'll have the money in my personal development budget to go. That's what I would tell her. I would, you know, my goal is to be in a position next year where I have enough money in my personal development budget to go. But ask her those questions. Ask her those questions. Or him, whoever, if it's a he or her. Him or her. Because here's what's happened, Diego, and I'll tell you this. I'm not recording this, Emma. Yeah, I stopped recording for questions. Good. Here's what happened. They bought 50 or 100 tickets because if you're a real leader, you will buy 50 or 100 tickets to this event, and we're going to put you in VIP seating so you get to rub elbows with all the gurus in the front row, and blah, 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 and blah, 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 and blah, 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 blah. And they bought into all that, and it sounds like to me, if they're putting pressure on you, that they bought more tickets than they probably should have. They extended themselves, and they're just trying to get rid of them. And, you know, the real issue is they let their ego get in front of their judgment because they want it to be a VIP at whatever. And they let their ego get in front of their judgment. That's really what's going on here. That's bottom line. So that's the answer to that one. I've not had very many easy questions tonight. This is the last chance, guys. I'm going to check one more time. Oh, there's my buddy Brian. Anybody in Seattle, if you don't know Brian, you should get to know Brian Perkheiser. He's a great human being. Brian from Seattle. Feeling so much better. That's good, buddy. When should we implement texting or Facebook post? Should it be before, during, after sending out our 50 to 100 letters? Facebook post in the launch. So right when they're sending out 50 letters, I would send out 50 Facebook I would send out a Facebook post that says, hey, if you know anybody that's interested in better health and making money or whatever, whatever verbiage, and I would send it through text to everybody. I would have people send it to text to everybody on their phone, and I would also have them put it on Facebook right in the beginning, right during the launch, because in the launch, you're just trying to plant as many seeds as you possibly can as quick as you can. That's a great question, Brian. Thank you. Thank you, buddy. I don't really have a great product, company, or anything, but desire and a vision. What is more important for success, a strong company with good leadership or a great product? What a question. What a question. If you stay plugged in, this is the cowboy Brian in Wyoming. Brian, if you stay plugged in to what we teach, I think you might be a training club member. It seemed like I saw you come through. It seems like it. But if you're into the training club, and then that, I promise, will teach you everything that you ever need to build the strongest, largest businesses you want to build, and stay plugged into the podcast and the webinars. There's a webinar that we did, a training, and it's called How to Choose the Right Network Marketing Opportunity. If you go to mlmhelp.com and type in how to choose the right network marketing opportunity, it'll walk you through the process. It's a three-legged stool. You really want a great company with leadership that has a long-term vision. And I will tell you that in today's environment, and I believe people will agree they've been around for a few years, that's harder and harder to find. Okay, there's a lot of companies that are just worried about next month's volume, and they're not concerned about, it's like long-term culture that we're creating. So that's not very easy to find, but that's important. But the most important thing that you need as a distributor is a product that you personally believe in, that's timely, and a company that has plans for being around a while. So it's really the three-legged stool. It's all three. However, I would tell you this, and this means this is the most important, most encouraging thing that people in network marketing need to understand, that even if you're doing nothing but developing the skill sets and the mindsets necessary to become a great leader and develop other leaders. And this company, you think they've got great leadership, you think they're going to be here forever, and you love the product, and the bomb does drop. Something happens. If you've progressed as a person, as a leader, during the process, then it's time well spent, because you've invested in yourself, and that's the best investment you can make. Thank you, Wyoming Cowboy Brian. I appreciate that. Yeah, I know who GoPro is. My buddy in Texas. Yeah, I know. Okay, guys. Looks like that's it. And y'all stayed with me tonight. I appreciate it. I hope this helped you. I hope you just drive it home. Gotta have your foundations in place. Just simply have to. Play one, play two. What questions do I need to answer for you before we get you started? And more importantly, put new people on the right track. Help them launch. It's not about getting them in. It's about keeping them in and helping them move forward. You guys have an awesome evening. I haven't even looked at next week's schedule. Oh, I get to see some of you in Nashville Saturday. Look forward to that. Some of you will be in Nashville Saturday. Can't wait to see you. Can't wait to see you. I'm excited about that. The rest of you, I believe my plan, I should be back with you next Thursday on the No Fluff Network Marketing. What are we doing? Webinar. Have a great evening, guys. I appreciate you more than you know. Those of you that continue to share us in the marketplace, you leaving comments on our blogs. When you buy products on Amazon or on our website, you're leaving feedback. You're leaving feedback on our podcast. I cannot tell you how important that is, how much that means. And don't think I don't see it, because I do. Don't always respond, but I always see it, because sometimes it's 3:30 in the morning and I'm scrolling through my phone with the lights off, and I don't have my glasses close. So I see it. I know who you are. And as things move forward, you know, I do my very best to support those that I know that are plugged in and who have a focus on helping other people, and support you every way I possibly can. I will continue. Thank you, guys. God bless you. Have a great evening. Look forward to seeing many of you in Nashville this weekend. Y'all have a good one. Good night. God bless.